Hello.
Hello, everyone.
G'day, I'm Matt from Spinify. I'm the CEO. I've got Jason here with me, who's an absolute legend. Today, we're going to talk about gamification in general, and we're also going to talk about some of the analytics we have on the platform that are really quite helpful in understanding what's going on. And then we're going to talk about some stuff that we're doing with AI and how we believe that's just going to change everything that we do. But before we get into any of that, just thank you for everyone for joining. It's really exciting to see the people piling in. For us, gamification, you're trying to understand what it really is, and I think it's just a good thing to just set everything straight. And all the stuff that we've been doing for many years, and all our different customers in 18 countries, and we're approaching 1 million competitions that we've built, and it's exciting times for where we're at in this entire industry in the space. But defining gamification, in my mind, is a critical thing. And the way that we see it, it's really two words, and one word's probably more important than the other. And that first word is fun. And if it isn't fun, people don't really do it. And then the second one is competitions, and creating those competitions. And what we focused on is how easy it is to create those competitions. We have competitors just like everyone else does in the world. Our competitors generally make things very difficult in creating competitions. Our focus has been, how do you make them fun, and how do you make them quick and easy? And Jason, we've got some stats there on that we've recently done with user evidence on how fast it's that we can create people, how long it takes people. I think it's average 6 minutes.
Yeah, under 6 minutes on average.
And I think that stat was something like 78% of people can create a leaderboard within 6 minutes. That's really important of doing that. But ultimately, what it is, and if this gels with you, you're in the right place, is about, how do I get visibility of data? How do I then turn into something fun? How do I make people compete? And ultimately, how do I get more out of it? And then really, when you look at those competitions and what they are, they're two things. They're either activities or outcomes. And knowing what they are changes what you're ultimately trying to do.
And yeah, Matt, just to jump in there for a second. So, like, one of the big things we're talking about, the 6 minutes. One of the big things is knowing from a manager and knowing what my team needs to do, being able to create that competition in the right amount of time. So it's not, well, this activity is falling behind, having to go talk to IT, having to get more people involved, and it being a week later, and all of a sudden that's been a problem for an entire week. Now I'm able to go in and create that competition, get that focus on that KPI right away.
Yeah, speed is everything, and that's part of what we can talk about later about the AI. Because the next thing is, I don't know the IT in there, but I need someone who's creative, and I'm trying to figure out what I should just name the leaderboard, because I don't know, it's difficult. But with our platform at Spinify, knowing who you are and what you've done and what you should do, well, without any spoilers, we can talk about what that is. But Jason, why don't we jump in and show the guys? We've got the small agenda here. So thank you for joining us. We've got a little quick agenda that we've got up on the screen here that we can show. And let's just get into the product. The other thing is just, there's chat here. So thank you for everyone who's joined. If any questions that you've got, just ask us. So we can treat this almost like a town hall thing as well. So as we're talking, just ask us questions about anything. Gamification, Spinify, life in general. We're happy just to talk about those things as well. The more questions, the better. But Jason, why don't you jump into my Spinify, and let's talk about these reports and analytics, really, because reports is a dirty word. So the reason I say reports is a dirty word, and you can all see this wonderful screen here that we've worked with UX designers all around the world to get this fantastic design, is the problem with a report is that when I get the report and I sit down with the reps, I hold it up and go, here's the report, and then we look at it, and then it's instantly out of date. So what we do at Spinify is we're looking at that data constantly, and what Jason can show here is how it's trending over time. And then other things that happen because of this data, which is the visibility, is we now create things called micro competitions where two people can now see each other and understand that data of where they're at and then compete. And then another concept that's in there that's really cool is robo-boss, which is when someone's down the bottom, as a manager, you don't need to go kick them because they can see that they're down the bottom because they now have that visibility as opposed to sitting down and looking at a report. All those things change the data, which change the outcome. Jason, you seem to be muted.
I was just going to say on the similar things on the RoboBoss is not just are they able to see who's at the bottom, it's who's doing better than them. They can go talk to their colleagues to get some assistance as well. So it's not just on them and on their own, kind of siloed there.
Yeah. Visibility is the word, right? So this is what it's about, is giving visibility. We worked with a guy named Yukai Chow who wrote this book, and I recommend it's on Amazon, and everyone goes, here, go buy this book. It's a fantastic book. What it does is really give you a basis of understanding gamification, and what he did, Yukai Chow, was he broke things into a framework of how you motivate people, and we've done a lot of that in the product. He talks about white hat and black hat, and we don't actually do any black hat, which is negative stuff, right? So everything's always about positive and uplifting. And there's many things about that. But anyway, Jason, let's talk about some of these numbers and give people an overview about what it's about.
Yeah. So what we're looking at here is the revenue for a team that we've got here. So I'm able to just to quickly see how we're trending over time. I can start looking at how we're doing towards our target. So I can see most months we're beating our targets. And that from a manager side of things, I can start looking at, okay, how do I go and increase those targets for the team? They're already beating this. How do I get them to push a little further?
And the reason that's important is because sometimes as a manager, you set the targets bad. So sometimes you make them too easy and sometimes you make them too hard. So we won't go on today, but we have a whole coaching analytics platform there where you can actually see, did you set them too high or did you set them too low? Because over time, you also want to change them constantly. But this is helping you understand that.
Yeah, as we're constantly growing and bringing on more people, hitting those targets more frequently, we want to be able to make sure that they've got those strong targets to reach for. Like in this competition, I've got 8 days left, and I've already beaten the competition for the month. So looking at, okay, how do we then keep pushing this for the rest of the month as well? So we can start seeing how I've hit the target. We get that predictive score. So we're looking at all the staff's performance over that month time frame, and we're estimating what we think the whole team's going to be reaching at this point. So looks like we've got another $40,000 to go on this competition for the rest of the month, which is really good. I can see half the people have already hit their target for the month. So there's still some gap in there for some of the reps that they need to focus on. And I can start kind of diving into the past performance as well to understand how are we doing compared to the previous time and things like that as well.
Which is very powerful.
And then if we want to learn more about that revenue, we can then drill in and get a lot more information about our performance now as well as over time. So I can see since we've been running this competition, we've brought in that $2.2 million. And we've had 235 people hit target, which
is amazing. And this is another big difference between what we do and what a report is. Because a report, if you get something from Salesforce or whatever it's spitting it out, it's not really telling people about a target and what they want to hit. And it's definitely not predicting where they are and whether they're going to hit it. And ultimately, you want to set everyone a target. And the question we always get asked is, can I set targets individually? And the answer is yes. So you can have someone who's the gun in your team and make their target 3 times higher, and they've got to run 3 times as fast. You can have someone who's a newbie and make it half of everyone else. But everyone feels like they're on the same playing field and they're progressing. We were the first to put progress bars in, which sounds a little crazy, but progress bars are really important about getting a visual view of how you're progressing in a competition as a player.
And the some of the other stuff with the individual competition we've seen quite well is setting up pods. So you have like your lower tier rep kind of grouped together with one of your guns to have kind of a 2v2 sort of competition. So it's not just everyone on their own. So you can start grouping people together and having the individual reps help each other. It's not just on the manager's shoulders to help.
And on that, Yukai Chow, he calls this an epic competition. And what that's about is having, say, a single metric that the whole company is going for, have someone in a team competition and have someone in an individual competition. And because they're spread out over all those different competitions, they may be going bad in one of them, but holistically they feel okay because they're in lots of competitions. And those competitions could all be the same data, but just sliced in a different way, because one's a team competition, one's an individual competition, company competition, many different ways to show the data and change the data, which comes back to that word that we were talking about from the beginning, which is something that we've always focused on, is fun. Because ultimately, if this stuff isn't fun, people will get bored. And if you get bored, you don't do it, right? And that's what we're really focused on here at Spinify, is getting people engaged in the data to do something. And we're all based on data. So there's a lot of recognition platforms out there that we've seen that's just about giving someone a 5 and then you give a 5, but it's not based on data. So because you're here and you're understanding the data and looking at the data, it's all about how you visualize it, which is what Jason's showing us here.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. So all about kind of bringing that historical data so we can start looking at the past couple of months and how we've been doing. We can start looking at those targets that we were talking about. So how are we doing versus the first time that we've run this competition or the previous competition? So I can start seeing that trend of how we're doing.
So we've got a question here about someone. How do you motivate someone who's on the bottom of a leaderboard? Well, the bottom of the leaderboard is really about letting them see the visibility, about letting them see where they actually are, as opposed to them not knowing where they are. And because they can see it, they can do something about it, and they are predictive as well, can actually tell them where they are, where they've got to be.
And I found a lot of that people know more on that outcome, that big, from a sales team, what kind of the sales numbers that I've brought in. But they're not looking at those activities, those calls that they're sending, the meetings that they're booking, and they don't know how they're doing compared to other people. So knowing kind of what they're doing helps, okay, well, that person's doing better in sales, but they're also doing more calls and more emails. Maybe I need to go focus on that.
You can see the data, which, Jason, why don't you show us what that looks like, how I can see the data between me and someone else when I'm down the bottom, what I can see.
Yeah, so we can start seeing for each of the people. As an admin, I'm seeing the people around me. As a player, I'd be comparing myself to these different reps. So I'm going to start seeing the progress and the percentage of goal, what my highest all-time score is versus theirs. We can start seeing a trend over time of how we're doing. So looks like Marine and Piper here are kind of mirroring each other a little, kind of trading back and forth on wins and losses here. So it gives you that insight into how they're doing. You can start seeing how they're doing compared to the previous time as well. So Marina is doing a bit better this time than they were doing last time, which is shown in her higher score here.
Nice. So we've tried to do a lot with these graphs about how you can see very quickly what it is without drilling in and looking at crazy amount of reports and getting blinded on it. It's meant to be a quick, high-level thing for you to see and for the rep to see, to get that instant visibility about what's working and what isn't. Along with the whole creation of the leaderboards that we talked about, we put so much energy into making it easy and fast to create these competitions, making these competitions recurring. There's no limit on how many competitions you can create in Spinify. The more competitions you create, the better. And then having days where you just turn everything off and go, right, today it's all about leads. We don't care about anything else. And whoever wins that, who gets the most, is going to win this thing for the day. But let's go have a competition for today. Everything else is off. Here we go. This is a big competition. Who creates the most leads today wins. And then we go back to the regular program of all the competitions that we run. So changing things up like that, I found in my previous business was a great thing to do. And we see people who do it on the platform here, and it can get a big impact by just having a singular focus at times for a day or even a couple of hours about things that you just want to shift the needle on.
It's starting to see more and more of those like end of day blitzes as well. Yep. So that focus at the end of the day, okay, the team's kind of wrapping up, but how do we get them to stay on the phones? How do we get them to keep calling and having a end of day blitz? So it's just looking at the calls made in that last hour of the day.
So a question here is about, can I compare myself to anyone who's someone's not directly behind me? So when you see the leaderboard, what it's about is you'll see everyone that's in that leaderboard. So if they're not in there, you can't see them, but you can, like we can see here, this is everyone who's in this leaderboard.
Yeah, and then on the player as well, they'll be able to see how they're doing compared to each person as well.
Yeah.
So when I'm participating in that competition, it's going to be me versus them.
Yes. Why don't we flip over and see if I can share my screen?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think Danielle also has a question asking if the data is all real time. So yeah, so the data is going to be pulling in real time from the various sources.
We call it near real time.
So
near real time, because we're waiting on things like Google and other things where some things are like Salesforce are extremely quick because we have a lot more control. Other things like Google can be a little bit slower, but effectively this data has to be as close as it possibly can to exactly real time. Because you can imagine I'm a rep and I put something in a CRM and then the TV updates or on the screen updates an hour later. That's just not going to cut it, right? So people need to get that data. And we haven't even touched on it because the whole achievement thing and the recognition piece, which makes people go back into it again, that's an important part as well, right? That has to happen to get people to know that they've been notified on something and make them do something again. That has to happen fast. So it's always been critical for us to make it as close as possible to real time, but we just call it near real time. But great question.
Excellent. I think, Matt, you wanted to...
Yeah, we just got a few more questions in there, here. Jason. Look, just really smashing it through. How many competitions can I run at once? Unlimited. You can go crazy. As many competitions as you want. So we don't limit you on how many competitions. And the other beautiful thing about those competitions is they can be recurring. Right, so you're not coming in here every week and go, I've got to make them all again. You can set them up to be recurring.
And recurring based on different time frames as well. So you could have a daily competition that's showing your information each day, weekly or monthly competitions as well.
There's a question, is there a way to speed up time? Do you know what that means, Jason?
I'm wondering if that has to do with the time to sync.
Oh, right. No, so that's done in the back end. But know that we do everything to make it as fast as it possibly can be, like through the internet and everything.
And I think it would depend on the integration as well. So like our Salesforce integration with the App Exchange syncs within a minute.
Yes.
So it depends on the limitations with the service that we're connecting to.
Yes, and some things like Google's doing lots of things and it gets busy, then it sends something really quickly, then it sends something. It is what it is. Lots and lots of questions.
So it looks like Joe, question was around Snowflake. Should be about 10 minutes. It all depends as well on the data going into Snowflake and into the database as well.
But we can have a conversation about that, Joe. So just
I was going to say we can kind of take it offline, Joe, and set up some time with your CSM to have a look at that with you.
Cool. Why don't I see if I can share my screen?
Sure. I will stop sharing here.
Let's see if I've successfully shared. Have I? Yes. I have. Well done. So look, this is a real sneak, cutting edge, crazy preview that I'm going to show you. This is our many different types of ways to split the data competitions. What I'm about to show you will even be changed just in the next few hours. But and many of you might be aware, we have many, many different ways of showing those competitions and how they should look, which is very cool. So one of the problems that we saw, which you can see what's happening here, is working with ChatGPT is how we've done this. But the problem that we saw is people just don't know what they should create. So you're going to make a leaderboard and you go, well, what do I do now? Well, what if we could tell you? So working with ChatGPT, we've figured out a way to be able to know who you are, know what you've done, and then tell you about ideas, and then recommend ones that we think are good, and then click on it, and then I've done it. And then I can add something down here if I want to and change it. So this is a quick preview of what we're doing with AI, but this will eventually be everywhere. We've got a huge roadmap of what we're doing and where we're going to put this, but that's a sneak peek of how it actually looks. And we've found the results coming back from ChatGPT absolutely amazing, as it knows who you are and what you're doing. So we're incredibly excited about what this is actually going to do for gamification, to be able to take that whole idea creation of going, oh, what do I call this achievement? What do I make this screen? So things about making images dynamic, creating badges. And it goes on and on and on. There's amazing amount of things that we're doing in this space that we're very, very excited about. We can't wait to show you them. And they'll be coming out over the coming days. Like, we're releasing stuff faster than we've ever done before. And we really think this is going to have even a bigger impact, that you create competitions that suit your culture, faster to do, and get that impact that you're ultimately looking for. And we don't know anyone else has done this. So it's been an amazing effort. There's almost everyone in the company is working now on AI or something to do with AI. And we're actively trying to recruit more people in AI. But we think linking AI and what we've done with gamification is going to change everything. It's going to make things so much easier for you guys, so much more fun to do stuff.
It's that game, that best practice, the recommendations based on industry, and bringing that fun aspect to it.
So what Spinify is going to be turning more into is knowing exactly who you are, what industry you are, and then serving content to you and suggestions that fit you and what you've done and what you haven't done and what we see the gaps are. And that's just the start. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that is even more exciting than that. But ultimately what it's going to do is just make things faster, easier for you guys to do everything in the platform, give you ideas that you go, whoa, that is amazing. I'm going to do that. Thank you very much.
It looks like Kristen's asking if it's live already. So we do have the competition side.
Some of it is live, and some of it, even when we say it's live, some of it's actually going to change within the next few hours. We've got some exciting releases as well. So it's check your account. If you're a customer, it's turned on for certain people. Have a look, let us know, and we'll be rolling it out for everyone very soon. But it's truly exciting what this will do for the space, what this will do for our industry and everything else. The whole ChatGPT thing, the world's all talking about it, and it's amazing that we've had the opportunity to partner with them in what we do with gamification, and ultimately help you guys just to create better competitions is what we're really trying to do here, which we think we will do.
Better competitions, better announcements,
better everything,
better messaging.
Better everything. But it's that creative level, right? That which is really hard to try and figure out at times. So we've done a lot on the UX to make things fast, but now it's about the creative level of concepts and ideas, understanding your culture, and more questions on understanding what you've done and what you want, and helping surface stuff that you just go, oh yeah, instead of sitting around a boardroom table going, should we call it the champions leaderboard or should we call it the winners? I'm not quite sure which one. We'll help you pick. Very exciting. All right, we're just about to wrap up. Any quick questions from anyone? Once again, just thank you so much to everyone who's been here. Lots of great questions. Really appreciate them all. We are very excited about everything that's happening, and look forward to doing more great things in this space. Any other questions? Should we leave it there?
Danielle's got a quick question here. Where can I see new and upcoming features? So we've got a app called Beamer that's in your My Spinify account. It's in the top right corner, the little lightning bolt. So you can click on that to see upcoming features. You can also put in feature requests and vote for new features that we're releasing as well.
It's a fantastic way to learn what's happening. Where everything goes in there. Alrighty. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
It was lovely.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jason.